Okay, so I'm back and we're going to discuss the AAC devices, which are also known as Augmentative Alternative Communication Systems. So since we've gone over the visual schedules, I'm going to introduce the communication boards, also known as AAC. So this is a symbolic language system that offer consistent, simple to understand options for communicating when an individual has a limitation in the expression of message. Use of pictures, labels, objects, gestures, and vocalizations to communicate are all forms of symbolic language systems that are appropriate for those who experience communication breakdowns due to their inability to produce an adequate, intelligible communication message. It is important to note that this system is appropriate for any student who can discriminate and interpret visual representations. So, if your child is unable to look at this picture and know that it represents Play-Doh, if they don't know that this picture represents Play-Doh, then this will not be a good system for your child. If your child is unable to discriminate between visuals, I would not recommend using this system. You can, however, train your child to interpret these pictures. So I would take this is the symbol for Play-Doh, and I would have my Play-Doh, and I would show the child, I would take this off and I would say Play-Doh, and I'd show them Play-Doh. And that way the child will be able to understand what that picture means. But the good thing about this is that this communication board, you're able to use or put whatever you want that your child does understand. So let's say your child knows bubbles, but they don't know Play-Doh and they don't understand. You can use bubbles on your schedule. So what's good about this is that you can design the schedule particular to your students' needs. So there are 4 different types of communication boards that I found in this article that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to go over each one and explain some disadvantages and some advantages of each. So the first communication board is called a communication page. The communication page is a single sheet of symbols representing the vocabulary needed for one topic or communicative setting. This system offers an uncomplicated and quick method for message generation. Several communication pages can be created, and each page can represent a topic such as ordering at a restaurant vocabulary, circle time vocabulary, and TV channel program choice vocabulary. And there's so many more that you can choose from. I have an example of a communication page. This one has pictures of food on it. So as you can guess, the category for this communication page would be food. So this can be used during snack time in the classroom, and if you're feeding your child and your child is displeased by what they get and you don't know what they want, you can use this picture and have the child point to what it is they want. And that's an easier way for the two of you to communicate. Or a parent can bring this with them to a restaurant and the child can use the page in ordering what they want. So it's easy because you have the pictures and all the child has to do is point, and it's categorized so you can find which one you need to use. Like if you're at a restaurant, you would take the page that's for food. Or if it's lunchtime in the classroom, you take the page that's for food. The second type is a communication board. This symbolic language system is a large board with a grid that displays numerous symbols representing a variety of vocabulary options. Unlike the communication page that we saw earlier, a communication board's vocabulary is not topic specific. The symbols included are those messages that are most important for the speaker to relay and those used most frequently by the speaker. To use a communication board, the individual points to the picture to relay his or her thoughts. The number of messages is limited to the size of the board, which is one of the disadvantages of the symbolic communication system. So here's an example of my communication board. This is obviously just a printout. If it was the real thing, it would be on a large board and it would be filled. This is kind of blank here. But as you can see, there's many different things on here. It's not grouped by category as a communication page is. So there's different options on here. We have mine, there's eat, there's feel, there's ask, go, give, look, see. So this one is nice because you can use it in a conversation. The child is just not limited to one category. So they can use this communication board to communicate various wants and needs. And like I said before, the disadvantage of this is that it's limited to the size of the board. So if it's a small board, the child doesn't have many options to choose from. But if it's a larger board, there's a lot more you can fit on there. The third one I have is a communication binder. The communication binder is a collection of topic-specific pages within a binder-type notebook. Generally, communication pages are grouped by topic to assist the individual in locating desired messages. The number of pages used is dependent upon what the individual can cognitively and physically handle while managing to communicate effectively. So here's an example of a communication binder. It is a binder. It's a 3-ring binder, and this person here is using the Velcro strips with the pictures, which I think is a really good idea because you can use them interchangeably. And this is grouped by category. So just like the communication page, this is a binder with many communication pages, as in they are grouped by category so the child can flip through and pick what setting they're in and be able to communicate in the appropriate setting according to what they have in their binder. So this, I think, is also really helpful. And also, as the child gets older and their vocabulary expands, you can add more pages, you can get a bigger binder, so you can still keep adding on to this. So I like the communication binder. And my last one is the communication wallet. The communication wallet is essentially a reduced version of the communication binder. Smaller topic-specific pages of symbols comprised in the wallet. The size of the communication wallet makes it easier to transport. However, because of the smaller size, the communication wallet accommodates fewer vocabulary selections, which is a disadvantage of the wallet. So, here's a picture of the wallet. This is a printout I just found online. It looks kind of like a little flip book. I'm sure that these are like clear pages and they just slid in the pictures. So this one is good. I wouldn't recommend that a child carry this around in their pocket, but maybe the teacher can hold on to it, and when they're out on the playground and the teacher wants to know where the child wants to go, what they want to play with, the teacher can easily just bring this little wallet out of their pocket and communicate with the child, or a parent can use this whenever they're out of the house. When the board is too big to bring with you everywhere, so this is perfect. And so those are just 4 options that I found from that article that I mentioned earlier, and I will have a list or a handout with all the websites I've mentioned, the articles, and the PECS book, which you can find on Amazon. I'll have the author and the name once more again for you guys. And with this communication board, I'm sure there's many other options to choose from, but once again, I do recommend that when you are using this system that you introduce one picture at a time. You would never start with something like this first. You will take one picture and you train that child with the picture, and as they are able to learn this picture, you can move on to more and more pictures, and that's how you will develop your board. You don't just start with a board filled with pictures because you'll overstimulate your child. And me, I'm currently using the communication visual schedule with my child. This one that I showed you before. And my child also has autism, and he has very, very, very low language. So he's not able to use this independently. He does not go and pick the items off and go to the designated activity that I have planned. We're not doing it that way. What I'm doing is I'm just using this as a visual for him so he knows what we're doing. And I also use this, it's a first then strip. So I can take, maybe we're going to do bubbles first, and then we'll do Play-Doh, just so that he just has some type of order so he can just see what's going on. I don't want to really overstimulate him, so I just have like 2 on this paper. And right now what we're really working on, like I said, we're introducing one thing at a time. I'm introducing the more symbol to him. So I'll use something that he likes. He has a preferred toy, or I'll bring something in that I think he might like. He likes things that light up or play music. And I'll use this symbol and I'll show him more. And I'll use my hands, and I'll take his hands, the hand-over-hand assistance, and I'll put his hands together and I'll say more. So I'll use his toy as a manipulative, and he'll play with it for a minute, and I'll take it away or I'll turn it off, and of course he'll be very upset. And I show him the card and I say, more, do you want more? And I use his hands and I show more, and I give it to him. And this is just the first time I've used it. I've only used it one time so far, so I haven't had much success, but I'm hoping to have success with this. I believe that it will be effective once my child is able to follow the schedule, when they're able to go to it and pick off the items and understand what comes first and be able to sequence. But right now that's way too advanced for him. But if we're able to at least establish more and do the more symbol, then this system is effective, I would have to say, because you do have to start small. You cannot just use something big, use a big board and have a lot of pictures on it and then say the system didn't work. It takes time, and children with autism, they take a lot of time, and you have to keep working and working with them. But if it turns out to not work, I will just have to try something lower at a lower level, or I may just have to recommend him to a special facility where he can get the needs that he needs, where he can get the help that he needs. And I just hope that this system will work, or that we'll find something that works for him. But I recommend that we try this in the classroom and just work with the child, work one by one. We'll do hand over hand. We'll just use simple pictures, and hopefully the child will get the hang of it, and we can say that this is a very good system. And PEX has a lot of ideas. The book is filled with many ideas, many pictures, so it's also a very good book to get. And I thank you very much for listening, and I really hope that you try this system. So, good luck.